I am John Hussey, Chair of the Human Resources Board. I will be presenting motions for Articles 4 and 5 on classification and salary plans. Article 4, Motion 1, recognizes changes to our job classification plan and amends it by inserting a new Schedule A. Plan changes appear in the advisory report. Town meeting members were mailed the full motion, which sets out the entire plan with all of its jobs listed. The classification plan comprises job groups with associated hourly rates or annual salary ranges for non-union town employees. Detailed job descriptions are developed for each position in order to position it in the appropriate job group. The Human Resources Board is responsible for ensuring that the town's job classification plan is comprehensive and reflects any changes in jobs performed in the town's departments. The classification actions that follow are ones that have been reviewed and approved by the HR Board and have been implemented by the relevant departments since last year's town meeting. This motion asks for approval of 4 different kinds of actions, each of which I'll describe. These are new 40 and 50 series positions. Departments, with the guidance of Human Resources, develop new or revised job descriptions, which are graded based on responsibilities and job requirements. The Human Resources Board reviews and votes on these changes. The COA positions existed previously, but were classified in the general wage schedule, which is more appropriate for temporary or seasonal positions. Reclassifications are changes in job group based on revised job descriptions, which may include updated job duties and responsibilities and changes to the minimum qualifications of the positions. COA services have grown with the opening of the Tolles Parsons Center. Revised job descriptions for the 2 COA roles reflect expanded management and leadership responsibilities. These positions were both reclassified, similar to the previous positions, but also had updated job titles to better reflect the job duties and responsibilities. For example, the change to the assessor technician position was initiated by the assessor's office to add additional responsibilities to the job description. Responsibilities for the HR position include increased independent engagement and decision-making in concert with department managers. These positions simply change the title or name of the position. No funds are committed based on this motion. We ask for your favorable action. The HR Board will make 3 motions under Article 5, all dealing with the town's compensation plans for non-union town employees. Motion 1 of Article 5 amends that pay schedule for job groups 40 to 49. This pie chart gives you an idea of the breakdown of the town's permanent employees. As of January, the town had about 1,364 employees. This number excludes seasonal and temporary workers such as crossing guards, parking meter attendants, and substitute teachers. The HR Board motions that I will present address compensation for the 40 series employees shown on the pie chart in green and the 50-60 series employees shown on the pie chart in orange. Together, these non-union town employees make up about 10% of the total workforce. These are the communities that we typically use in compensation comparison based on size and other characteristics, as well as potential competition for high-quality staff. One result of our benchmark study is the recommendation for the annual increase shown on the next slide. Another outcome is an assessment of the competitiveness of our pay for specific positions. We use that information to make recommendations to department heads about individual adjustments to ensure we remain competitive. The first motion presents the recommended wage schedule for employees in the 40 series and reflects a 2% increase over FY21. There are about 46 40 series employees. These are non-exempt employees who hold positions such as office support, customer service staff, and fire mechanic. They make up approximately 3% of the total workforce. These employees are paid on an hourly basis on a schedule that has 6 steps for each job group. Step increases are granted for each year of service. Of the about 46 employees, 26 are at the highest step. Each step is about a 4.55% increase. This slide shows the pay increases that town meeting has approved over the last 3 years for the 40 series employees. The HR board is given the responsibility under the town bylaws to recommend to town meeting actions to maintain fair and equitable pay levels. To do this, we annually survey the pay rates for similar positions in comparable communities and consider predictions on inflation, collective bargaining agreements in Wellesley and other towns, and regional projections from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Over the last several years, we gradually made up a slight lag in compensation for this group of employees compared to our peer communities and have become more competitive. When we reviewed the updated data from our 2020 survey in the fall, we saw that we were competitive in the market with our compensation program and the amount employees in similar jobs are being paid in other communities. Additionally, our range structure is accurate and on par with the average maximums other towns offer. Our average actual salaries for the 40 series were equal to the average annual salaries of our comparables. The 2% increase will enable us to keep pace with our peer communities and is consistent with union-based increases in town. The funds required to support these increases for employees in the 40 series have been incorporated in the various departments' FY22 budget requests under Article 8. We ask for your favorable action on this motion. The second motion presents the recommended adjustments to the pay schedule for job groups 50 to 69, which comprises town managerial and professional employees. As we saw before, Series 50 and 60 series employees account for about 7% of the town workforce. Employees in job groups 50 through 69 are paid within the salary range that is associated with their job group. They are not eligible for any type of automatic increase, such as a cost of living adjustment, step increase, or length of service payment, and a change to this salary schedule does not automatically change anyone's pay. The ranges are constructed around a midpoint, which is a dollar figure that we believe represents the approximate market rate for that job level. As I've just described, we conduct regular surveys to investigate where those market levels are. Our benchmark surveys look at how comparable communities structure their compensation for positions that are similar to those in Wellesley, as well as the amount that's actually paid to the incumbents in those positions. We make range adjustments to keep our salary structure aligned with the market. This is to ensure that we can both attract qualified candidates by offering competitive salaries and reward and retain valued, high-performing employees. The proposed increase of the midpoints of these ranges is 2.0%. The town's Information Technology Department has a separate pay scale, which is modeled on the same principles as our 50 and 60 series pay scale. Based on the benchmark data, as well as inflation predictions, we are proposing a range adjustment of 2% for FY22. This 2% increase is applied to the midpoint of the range, and the minimum and maximum for each job group is built out from there. The benchmark data we collect indicates that, despite constraints on municipal budget, the market continues to increase modestly. We believe the 2% adjustment is appropriate given our position relative to our peer communities. Again, these adjustments do not increase any employee's pay, they just increase the ranges. We are proposing an average salary increase of 2% for 50 and 60 series employees, which will be discussed in more detail in Motion 3. We ask for your favorable action on this motion. Motion 3 appropriates funds to the Human Resources Board for the purpose of granting salary increases to employees in job groups 50 and above in the classification plan. This motion provides the funding for two purposes. $160,000 would be used for merit increases for 50 and 60 series employees based on the employee's performance and standing in the range, and $20,000 would be used as a reserve fund for other anticipated salary adjustments for 50 and 60 series employees. First, I'll discuss the $160,000 for merit increases. The $160,000 will allow for an average increase of 2% for the 50 and 60 series employees. As I mentioned before, this is not an automatic increase. The HR board develops a matrix that takes into consideration both the employee's performance evaluation and their standing in the range. These two factors are used in the matrix to determine recommended percentage increases. The individual departments then use these guidelines in making the salary recommendation for each 50 and 60 series employee. A top performer whose salary is low in their range will get a higher percentage increase than a performer with the same performance evaluation who is high in the range. This matrix is a tool in our pay-for-performance system that is intended to recognize and reward employees based on their contributions, and in doing so, retain their services over the long haul. This chart shows the last several years' appropriations for the town's managerial and professional employees. The $160,000 we are requesting will allow employees at a minimum to retain their standing in the pay range for their job, and as indicated by quality of performance, move up in their ranges. The second part of the funding under this motion is for $20,000 for salary adjustments that, for various reasons, were not anticipated at the time that budgets were made. Town departments are required to budget their personal services dollars based on the information they have 6 or 7 months before the start of the fiscal year. When situations arise later, such as a reclassification or unanticipated promotion, the department, especially a small department, may not have funds in the budget to compensate the employee as the bylaw and salary plan require. The HR board has been able to assist with the transfer of a small amount of funds when necessary. This allocation has also been used to make salary adjustments when our analysis indicates that an employee is not being paid a fair and equitable wage in relation to comparable positions in other towns. Finally, this reserve is sometimes used to pay for temporary help when an employee of a small department goes on a medical leave. This appropriation also helps us to make adjustments in compensation to remain competitive. Human Resources is constantly monitoring the municipal labor market. This research includes gathering more market data and reaching out to the appropriate department head or board chair to discuss if a review is necessary. Just because a position is below market doesn't mean the position will receive an increase. There is often a good reason why the position has been placed at that compensation level, whether it be an employee with less education or perhaps an employee still learning the position. This slide shows the breakdown of our $180,000 appropriation request. We ask for your favorable action on Article 5, Motion 3.